From Milwaukee, it's Movie Chatter.
Ooh, do we got a good one for you today?
We sure do.
Welcome to Movie Chatter Podcast, your portal into South Indian films.
We hope it's from South India.
Well, this is a Bollywood one that we're going to review.
Don't use the word Bollywood,
I know.
Bill.
Some people hate Bollywood.
Yeah,
There's a lot of competition between
Well,
Bollywood and the others.
Well, this specific one I've seen, like the last one we did, RRR, was a Tollywood.
Right.
This one actually is, I believe, a Bollywood.
I have seen it labeled Bollywood in a couple of places.
But we're going to say everything comes from India. So
Right.
that's where it's coming from.
What I really want to talk about is Alia Bhatt. That's the main thing. I don't care where she's from.
Mesmerizing eyes.
Oh my gosh, she's so gorgeous. I love her.
Just beautiful.
She reminded me of Elizabeth Taylor. If you look at young Elizabeth
Oh,
Taylor.
you're talking
yeah,
like
Cleopatra.
Cleopatra.
Yes.
Jinx.
Cleopatra.
Jinx.
Exactly.
Well, and
Cleopatra.
same diff
Most
as
beautiful skin.
where you're probably like too young and too beautiful for the part, honestly. I mean,
Right.
in real life too, because this is loosely based on a true character.
Well, it's a
She
documentary.
exists.
What
I mean, it's a
movie are we
biography.
talking about, Don?
We're talking about Gangubai Kathiwadi.
Yeah.
Gangubai
Gangubai.
Kathiawadi.
I'm sure
True
I'm
story.
killing the pronunciation.
Well,
I'm gonna
from a
try.
book called-
I'm terrible, but
What was it
Gangubai.
called? What was the book called?
Mafia Queens of Mumbai, I think.
Yep.
Mumbai.
Okay.
Um,
And it was actually just one chapter.
I was just gonna say only like 30 pages.
30
I actually
pages,
read a
yeah.
couple of excerpts from it.
Nice.
And the interesting thing is, in the book, she's actually not very attractive.
But
Well, have you seen the actual woman?
Well, I mean,
have
compared
you seen
to-
it's a
yeah,
real
but
person?
her,
I've seen it.
I mean,
She
the
looks
pictures
similar.
that I've seen are when she was in kind of her older years. She died at 68, I believe, something
Okay.
along those lines.
That's pretty old. If you
but
ask me for that.
Don't throw a
That's
stone,
It's a
Bill.
rough one.
It
Yeah, right,
wasn't.
right.
It wasn't her facial beauty that she was known for. It was her skills in bed.
It was
She
her.
was
Oh.
It was her very small buttocks. It actually went into this little spot right there.
It was the way that clients walked away from their experience.
Happy.
Is that right?
made her, I don't know, like,
Get repeat customers.
well, to the extent that she caught the attention of very high rollers that would pay top dollar for her, that she actually did gain that control over the situation, over the, I mean,
She got
Oh,
a
yeah.
higher demand.
she was beautiful. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, I saw the picture when she was 68.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah,
mean, she
absolutely
She
beautiful.
looks
is beautiful.
somewhat like. I mean, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Alia Bhatt is
Alia
better
Bhatt
looking,
is
but
just
just pretty
yeah.
gorgeous.
I mean,
Oh,
well,
well,
she has
good-looking
like
woman.
this.
In that
Alia
context.
has this like girlish beauty about her. You know what I mean? And
yeah. I mean, just universally beautiful. She's
It's-
so
I
symmetrical.
feel like that's
and
kind of a
perfect.
parallel to any show or Hollywoodized or whatever you want to call it, filmized interpretation of a true story.
Right.
They're maybe a little bit more beautiful.
Yeah, and also this is also sanitized. I mean,
Right.
I've heard that
Disney
in
has.
real life
It's been
she was
scrubbed.
there was
Glossed.
glossed. I mean, some of the violence, some of the
Absolutely.
the drugs that were being sold at her brothel and
Yeah, and I
alcohol
mean, they-
things like that. I mean, there was some. She wasn't exactly as in this movie. She's sort of heroinized
Right,
to
like-
become.
Pure as the wind-driven snow.
Given
She's
the her
fairly
profession.
pure. Fairly
right.
pure.
She seems pretty decent.
It's
Well,
a Disney version.
There you go.
Somewhat.
It's a little bit Disney.
But
I
we
mean,
would never hear this story if they didn't do this for us.
right.
So.
That's also true. I mean, it could have been a smidge more gritty. I mean, there was fairly no violence to a realistic degree. There was the one guy
yeah.
who got like beat on the hood, which was one
Right,
of my
right.
favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
be honest,
I
And
love
it was
that.
just
Right.
like very consequential to her relationships and her status, right?
Yes.
So they
She
were
was-
very Sanjay. We're talking about Sanjay Leela Bhansali, right?
Very good pronunciation,
Right.
Kelly.
I don't know. I'm sure it's not. But I watched a couple of snippets of his kind of comments about the movie. And
Oh, did you? What did
yeah,
you say?
that this unlocked Alia's potential.
Oh.
So I do agree with that. I feel like she owned.
She did. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Is she a
cleaned
rising star
up.
or is she already?
She's been
She's
around for
very well established.
right. If
Okay.
you listen to, I mean, if you read her IMDb, let me give you just a little Alia Bhatt biography. How about born in 1993, actress and singer from India, Indian origin and
she's
British
young.
citizenship, who
Okay.
works in Hindi films. Recipient of several accolades, including 4 Filmfare Awards. Bhatt is one of the highest paid actresses in India. She has appeared in the Forbes India Celebrity 100 list
Oh, I did
since
that.
2014
Wow.
and was featured in Forbes Asia in their under 30 list from 2017. So she's been up and coming and rising, and some people
Well
say
established.
this is
A bit of a breakout role.
Did you
maybe a
hear
breakout
about?
role.
She really proved
did
her
something on a
chops.
talk
Yeah.
show not too long ago. That remember when Tom Cruise did some weird stuff?
Okay.
and then,
Oh,
and
like
then
stood on a
everybody's
couch?
oh well, he'll never make another movie. You know, he's like,
Oh, she did something similar.
yeah.
Okay.
And
Oh.
so that was before this movie,
Oh.
and so
Didn't
it was
hear that.
controversial to, put her in here.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad they did.
Because she had that baggage.
Interesting. Oh, I wish I knew more about that.
Yeah,
then.
that's very interesting.
I mean, she's
had
had
no
a big
idea
year.
About that.
We all enjoyed her so much in her small role
Yeah,
in
just supporting
RRR,
role as the fiance.
in the fiance of Ram.
Okay. Okay.
Also from not to diverge, but another great actor in this movie is Ajay Daveen.
Okay.
Who plays the gangster boss
Oh,
who
yeah.
helps
He's
her
like
out, who smashes that
Her
that
counterpart.
rough,
Okay.
that rough John's face into the car. He was Ram's father in RRR.
Oh,
Yep.
really?
Yeah.
You know,
I did see
and
that.
and that's sort of that flashback to when Ram was learning to use a gun and all that, aim, shoot, whatever.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his dad in there.
Ready, aim, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that actor is also, we don't know a lot about this. We're still learning, but one of the highest paid
We are still
celebrity
learning.
Indian actors.
Yeah, I did read that.
And huge. I mean,
and you
he's big.
understand then why? Because he does steal a scene.
He does.
mean-
He was great in there. I fantastic.
Commands the table. But then that was
Gravitas.
also after I
Gravitas.
read that too. I mean, in counterpart, it was like kudos to Alia for
Yeah.
holding her own in those scenes. She held up the
There you
weight
go.
on the other
Yeah.
side of the table.
Yes. Thank you for bringing it back to her.
She was
'cause that is
also
exactly it.
obviously the common thread through the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, it
thought-
was nothing without her.
I thought you could actually, if you didn't have the time to watch the 2.5-hour movie, which I guess
It's
is
a little long. A little long.
it seemed long. We'll
It's
talk
not
about that.
long.
All right, we'll talk about that in a minute. But
will.
you could almost put it in 5 different sections, and each of these actors,
Chapters.
like for example, the Madam, she
Okay.
was only in one part of the movie.
Oh,
and
right,
then when she was
exactly.
out, right. At the end of the movie, there's a journalist.
Well,
he's
You,
at the end.
you could have
Okay.
cut
Oh,
this
right.
up into a Netflix series.
That's
You're
like
right.
a
Oh,
production
good.
choice, really.
That's true.
I mean,
Right. If you Americanized
yes,
it more,
if it was released
it
here,
would've-
they might do it in a 5 or 6 episode series.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
could
But it
easily
was
have done that.
to me. It was the perfect length of a
I
film.
didn't mind it
I
at
didn't
all.
mind it at all. I will say
Yeah.
that, any little inkling in my head that thinks that American films are better than Indian films has completely
Right, I was gonna say,
it's completely
gone.
evaporated after seeing this
After
movie.
seeing this.
This movie is definitely in my top 5 of the year, and that is talking
Definitely.
Top Gun Maverick is probably number 1.
Right.
This movie is in that top 5.
That's a
I
a
feel
high
like-
honor.
I
That's
feel
a
like I
high honor.
convinced you. We were
Oh.
talking in the yard, and I was
Yeah.
like, "No, seriously,
This thing is
You
you
were.
have to."
I liked it, but again, I would be maybe because of the length. I would rather have watched it as a 5-episode
Sure,
series.
sure,
I
sure.
mean, but
I
you
may have
can
watched
just,
it in 2 sessions.
You can just
I tend to do
pause
that.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
it
yeah.
and
Yeah.
watch it.
I mean, I did. I didn't. To be fair, I didn't watch it in one sitting.
I don't know how people
I
have.
do tend to do that.
By the
How
way,
you-
it's on Netflix.
How do you
Yep.
ever have problem with a 2.5-hour movie, but then you binge 6
7
hours
hours of episodes.
of a show.
Right.
And you
Watch an entire
complain if there's
series.
only 3
Exactly.
episodes available, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
do the same thing
That's
on the
a-
flip side.
Right.
I mean,
That's a good
I would
point.
like these movies to be 4 hours. I don't care. I can pause them.
Good point.
Right. I
Good
mean,
point.
it's not intended for one sitting in that instance.
What
but
was RRR? It was like over
It was
2.5,
close-
right? Or almost
yeah,
3.
it was like 2.
It was close to. It was
like
yeah.
that.
It was definitely in the range of
2.5 plus.
of.
Yeah.
3 hours 7.
Yeah, I was
Whoa.
gonna say
3
that
hours
was
and
that
7
was long,
minutes.
but also I didn't watch it in one sitting, and
No, I same with this. I mean, just like you say,
and
it's-
maybe that was intended for one viewing. That's not how I took it in. I don't feel guilty about that. I enjoyed it just as much.
Yeah, I mean, I could watch like Bahubali 1 and 2.
Mhm.
I actually want to rewatch them in reverse. I want to watch Bahubali 2 immediately going into 1, which is, I think that's how it actually should flow.
Interesting.
That's
Those
maybe
are very rewatchable.
Oh,
right. I was gonna say, and that's what happens with your favorite movies, right? You can see
Yeah.
a couple of scenes on any given day and
Right.
enjoy it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
KGF.
KGF.
Yeah.
That's a long movie.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just getting it out there because we've had a lot of comments. You need to watch this.
I actually just finished the first one today.
Every comment, we are going to
Good movie.
watch all these films that people have
Yes.
suggested, but it is summer here in the United States, and we are
This is
very
the last
busy.
of our summer.
If this was our
We're
full-time
trying
job,
to soak it up.
it would be great.
Unlike
Yeah.
India, we don't always have warm weather here.
No,
No.
right. So we need to do the most work we can right now. And so
true.
watching a
True
movie
story.
is like, to your significant other, you need to
You should be out trimming hedges.
right, you need to talk them into watching TV.
You do.
Although, to be fair, Beth liked Gangubai as well.
She loved
I
it.
told you.
She clapped at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I was like,
She
she's
clapped.
going to like it too. You're good. Just watch
Wow.
it tonight.
I would
Wow.
think women will like this maybe better than
It
men.
was very
Yeah,
a feminist driven championship
It
of
is.
women who are you're leading with like intelligence and clever nature of females like rising above the obstacles.
Right.
Did we
Getting
give a
past the
synopsis
obstacle.
of this?
Also glossed over, but
Let's
yeah.
give one.
Okay.
Shall we? Okay. And then I'd like to read in a comment regarding that we got a great comment on our YouTube video
on
of
length.
the length of movies.
Okay.
So
all right.
Okay.
first the synopsis.
Here you go.
Duped and sold into a brothel, a young woman fearlessly reclaims her power, using underworld connections to preside over a world she was once a pawn in. That's
Okay, but
super.
what it doesn't say, that's interesting, but what it doesn't say, and it's a big part of the movie, is she's really a social activist.
Yes.
Yes, by the end of it, right. I mean, she meets
Oh
with
my
the
God.
prime
A lot
minister.
of politics here.
And
Which those like points of the story are true.
they are. They
Yeah.
absolutely are. She
That's
really
amazing.
did meet with the prime minister.
We're talking like 50s into 60s when I mean that was
Yeah.
huge in our culture as well. But I mean ahead of her time to say the least.
Right.
She was
yeah.
pushing for better conditions for prostitutes and legalization of prostitutes. Now, I know in Germany that it's legal, but
Yeah, I mean, if given the times, that's pretty outrageous. I mean, that was
Right.
certainly something that was
that amazed me, yeah.
was unheard of,
Right.
and given the conservativeness of the culture,
Right.
that it was.
It was an impossible.
It's not legal now, is it? India?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think it ever has. But here, let me read this. And then I'll move on.
It would-
Okay, this is regarding.
The length
Legalizing
The length of
prostitution
film.
would solve a lot of problems.
It would. I think it should
well,
be.
it exists no matter what. That's like the
Yeah.
chief argument.
Yeah, sex workers are abused, and I mean they're never going away. So
Incels, they would have
it,
something to do.
it should be something that
I mean,
we.
something like legalizing, marijuana. I mean,
Sure.
people are going
Right.
to do it.
Again, they're going to do it anyway. You might as well regulate it and
Right,
help
right.
keep people safe.
I mean,
Yeah,
it is legal. It's just the level is high right now. You need a Ferrari and a really nice home,
Yeah.
and then
And then it's
the questionable women you probably could
Yeah,
Just
whenever you see
gloss
like
right
an
past.
80-year-old guy going out with a 40-year-old
right. I mean,
woman. He's got money.
Might as well make it legal.
I'm
Oh
sorry.
my gosh. Okay, let's
so
listen to this
just
about
just a
the
real. I mean,
length
yeah, I
before we
just
get
thought
away
this
from
was
that.
really. I don't know who this gentleman is. I'm assuming it's a gentleman. His handle is S Suri. And he left a comment 6 days ago on our YouTube, and it says, regarding your question about the length of Indian movies, there is an explanation/theory/story. This is what my grandma told me. Back in the olden days, like 50s and 60s, India used to have something called touring talkies. A big van with all the theater equipment used to go from village to village to screen the latest movie. They would tie a white cloth between two poles, similar to like they did in the movie,
Yeah.
in an open ground, and charge 2 pasya per person. A pasya is to a rupee what a penny is to $1 in a rough estimate.
Very
Okay.
inexpensive.
Right.
Screenings were only at
for the
night,
crowds, for the masses. Yeah.
and people would be seated on either side, just like in the movie. People used to think that the actors playing the characters were actually that in real life,
Sure.
and there would be almost no bargaining with them over the length of songs. A song must be at least 7 or 8 minutes long, and there should be 8 to 10 songs total.
Wow.
The reason behind this is
Like
that
a
if a movie
musical.
is 4 or 5 hours long, they can escape reality for that much time, and nobody knew when the touring talkies would come again to their village. That concept of escapism still exists within Indian audiences.
The longer, the
That's
better.
Great. I love it. And the movies that we've seen are like that.
It's the reason
Yes,
that
it is escapism.
It's also
It
the
is.
reason you want a long Marvel Infinity War.
There you
and
go.
You
yeah,
want
there's
I want a 3-hour movie. I want to be completely
and we're doing that in American film too. So let's not pretend that it doesn't exist
Yeah,
here.
exactly. We always talk about the escapism. And he concludes by saying, trust me, I've watched 5.5 hour movies from the black and white era. 3 hours is pretty concise compared to that. So
Very interesting. Thank
and
you
he-
to
Very
that.
and he got
interesting.
17
I love
thumbs
it.
up on his comment.
Oh, really?
Thank you
people
for that
agree
So
with
comment.
very, very
Excellent.
valid and
Yeah.
We love those comments.
Yeah, so it was, and this was only 2.5 hours. So
It was nothing. It was great.
Yeah,
I
didn't feel like it was long, and I didn't watch it in one sitting, but I would.
I would. I mean, I was mesmerized.
let's go
by
around
her.
the horn here and just
captivating.
what were some of the things that really you liked the most about it, Dave?
Just her attitude, and I didn't know if that type of woman existed in India at that time. So
Yeah.
it was, I'm
She was a
learning things.
trailblazer.
Right, I'm learning
There you go.
history. I just loved once I found out that this was a real story. It just made it so much better.
I know.
Right, and I didn't realize that
I-
from the beginning either. I mean, did you look into it immediately?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I mean, there was like remnants of things that I had heard of this nature.
Okay.
Of the push to legalize prostitution. I mean, that's actually cross culture. That's
Sure.
a global issue
Yeah, I would
where
think
the
so.
argument is it exists. It
Yeah.
will always exist. It's the oldest
profession, as they say.
right?
Yeah, right.
And I just, you may argue or criticize this film for having kind of, we talked about this, like glossed over the gritty parts.
Yeah.
Right, but I
right.
mean, you have to make it so it's more accessible to people.
General
Oh, but
audience.
you just champion her.
You do.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
I loved. I mean, I was just so happy for her. Anything that went well.
yeah.
Right. Well, and she had so much hardship. She had this just like bruised.
Oh,
I can't believe the
It was.
boyfriend
Existence.
that brought her.
That was one of
Oh
my
my
I mean,
favorite.
I
I know. If you met
Favorite
that guy,
parts,
you would just
actually.
like punch him in the dick.
It would.
I'm just saying.
Right. And apparently that was something that happened relatively, frequently.
and she was
Because it
only
seemed
16.
like everybody else.
And she was only 16.
Oh,
And how
insane.
awful that like then they were in turn blamed for it. And that still
Yeah,
exists
right,
today.
Right. And then they had the guilt of not being able to go home.
And their parents like disown them and
Yeah.
just awful.
That
so
really
that
happened.
that was to me that just the story of her life, was the most amazing part.
Oh,
I mean-
right.
I mean, just following a human, evolving and going through all this stuff. That was what I was following. I mean, it wasn't necessarily what was happening to her, but it was
Her
sort
resilience.
of it was her resilience. It was just
We're not
just the
working
story
today.
of that human. Yeah.
We're going to the
Yes.
movies.
Oh my gosh, that was my favorite part.
Yeah.
She was like,
Yeah. We're not going to the movies. Do not talk to us. We're going.
oh,
you
and
know,
then
guys
and
trying
then
to
when
pick her up.
An amazing
approaching her,
character.
and he was like, "Oh, can I take you home?" And she was like, like, don't even.
We're watching.
We're
a movie.
watching a movie tonight.
Okay, but and then
Yeah.
when she got back, and I guess this is a spoiler, but that madam,
Spoilers
Seema-
are okay.
Well-
Everybody's
Seema
seen it.
Bawa, who played
Sheila.
that, she was a very good actress.
She was good.
Yeah, she was phenomenal too.
She got even with her by having her
right.
well, and it's
forced to have sex with a violent guy.
it's a matter of power play, and I mean, ultimately,
But it
it's
backfired eventually.
Yes.
of money and profit. I mean, why was any of them there in that situation? Like, ultimately.
She was so tough. She went back in the room with him the second time.
Well, she had her cards to play. It was
Right,
ultimately a chess match. We're talking about Game
Yeah.
of Thrones here in a different setting.
Right.
I mean, she could get killed. Too.
Right, but it was following her
She-
character and
she
the development
weighed.
of her character. Yeah,
Yeah.
she weighed it and decided that if I'm gonna,
She had confidence in her cards. And I
what
don't
I'm
know
gonna do.
that particular scene played out how it did in the movie in real life, but it
Yeah.
was impactful, and
sure,
the alliances that she made were true.
yeah,
That
maybe
did
they
happen.
oversimplified it to just
Right.
one circumstance.
That's the
of-
glossy.
yeah.
It's not. I don't mean to be ignorant, but like the Hollywood effect is what we call it, where you take a true story and you kind of
Right.
just, make it sparkle. It,
Do you have her
it happened,
IMDb up?
but
right.
Who?
Right.
The lead actress.
yeah, of course.
Just wondering if you look
Alia
at the
Bhatt.
filmography, what is her next film,
Oh.
or what's coming up, or
Well, I believe she's in Brahmastra.
oh my God,
She's the lead in Brahmastra.
right, right.
Oh, we gotta see
Shiva.
that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Brahmastra. That is going to be.
Yeah, that's coming out like literally.
If we have to fly to
Moments from
India,
now.
we are going to do that.
Yes, I am in.
yeah, she is totally there.
Now we're talking about this on Netflix, but it actually came out in the movie theater in February, I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Right.
It
but
would have been worth seeing in the movie theater, and
Oh yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
for as much as she was really the anchor and like reason to see this, there was also very captivating cinematography.
Oh,
there was
Oh, thank you.
very
Thank
choice
you.
moments of
Yes.
scenes, and I mean dance numbers, as we have all talked about how much we appreciate being littered into Indian film. This movie, I feel like it was so seamlessly
Right.
integrated. It was part of character
It
development.
really did.
It was
It did not seem like it was an add-on or a break from the story.
right. It was
was-
almost like the definition when we splice musicals. It was like they weren't aware that it was a
Yes.
dance
I really
scene.
liked-
It just happened. It was
Yeah.
organic.
I wish I like musicals, but this is the way I like a movie, and then it breaks into
works
song,
into
and
the
then it goes
plot.
back. I don't want
Right.
like is it Rent that is singing
That's the
every
definition.
line of
It's
the
like,
movie?
are the characters self-aware that they are performing a song or not? That's that's the
Les
difference.
Mis, they're
Right.
singing
Right.
everything.
Right, like okay, so spoiler: the new Joker movie that's coming out, American film Joker 2, is going to be a musical.
Right.
So I'm hoping that it is a regular film, and then breaks into song.
Right. So they are not,
Yes.
the characters are not self-aware that they are singing. It is
Yeah,
just part of the
exactly.
performance.
Right, that would be much better.
But Alia's dance performance was extremely impressive too.
Yeah, I loved it.
I mean, like, just
Yeah.
heart-wrenching.
Yeah,
and-
I mean, they had, and interesting, you were talking cinematography. They really did those dances in a great way where they followed her really tightly they were, like kind of a circle dance.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think both of them. And I definitely remember watching and seeing how they kept her in frame just really nicely, and it
Oh,
just
yeah.
moved effortlessly with her. And
That was
and-
one of
and it
my
was
favorite
dramatic.
parts of the movie.
yeah.
It was
So
cool, yeah.
fun. I
And
mean,
and I think I read somewhere where as she was doing that spectacular dance, maybe it was the second dance, she was touched by God, and she was crowned. At that point, she had just fully self-actualized or
Yes.
something, and she had become the queen of that area.
Yeah.
Right,
well,
right.
I mean,
Okay.
like, you can't even her to the crease of her, crooks of her eyes. She was in character. Like it was just, you could see the epitome of her character in every move. It was
Yeah. And
her
phenomenal.
she was-
as her confident, she was so confident as the queen of the
I can't wait for
mafia.
Brahmasta.
Yeah,
Now.
that's also she's going to be in NTR 30, which is with our favorite. That's Brahmastra, which is with NT Rama,
Oh,
Okay.
really?
Rayo Jr.
NTR.
NTR, yeah. So that's another big movie, I'm sure. We don't know
Can't wait.
nothing, but that's
Cool.
in pre-production.
Got an interesting fact. You notice that little cross, that plus sign on her cheek?
Oh,
She didn't have that in the beginning,
what
but
was
she
that?
had that once she was like 16 years old and she was a prostitute. That is to mark the children. Sometimes they would tattoo a symbol so they would know what neighborhood they belonged to if they got lost.
Really?
Wow, that is.
That is a
Very-
very interesting fact.
Mm-hmm.
Love it, Bill.
I definitely noticed that, and we were like, "What is that all about?"
Yeah, and I went back and watched the movie, and she didn't have it in the beginning. She just had it after she was introduced into.
If you took a group of Americans and looked at all their tattoos, I'm sure we could group.
Oh, there's meaning.
I'm sure we could group them into
Oh, for sure.
into groups
Yeah.
they would get along with each other.
Yeah, it's,
Right.
Another favorite part of the movie, she is in competition politically with this guy he's a man, but he acts like a woman, and he's
Oh, right.
VJ. What is his name?
Was that actor a male?
Vijay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the
VJ
fellow there.
Raz. Mhm.
As Rajiabai.
I just want to say, just a ugly looking woman. If he
Well,
was trying to be,
Well,
I
he
mean,
was.
terrible.
Sure.
But great scenes when
Right.
he comes into.
He was
the
great though. I mean,
He was.
cafeteria where she's eating.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
like pours
Eats her
booze
food
on her
and then
plate,
just,
and
like,
oh yeah,
Yeah.
grabs her
Oh,
food
yeah.
and eats
Ultimate
it.
power plays. This movie was a series of power plays.
It
Yeah,
was very raw that way. I mean, this was a culture that is.
What I did like,
is
I
raw.
liked when she beat him. You know, in an American film, I don't know. I was expecting he was going to come back somehow. You know, like
Okay.
like
Yeah, machine gun.
I really liked she beat him.
over.
Well, to be fair, that's probably part of the story that's a little bit glossed.
Okay,
be.
right. But I mean,
Yeah,
for
she's
the
in a parade and she goes
Right,
by him.
They
She
give
does-
a nod,
Yeah,
tip
she
their
does.
hat
a
to each
respectful
other.
nod.
right, okay. I just liked it that clear the plate. You didn't have to worry about anybody showing up
But
again.
absolutely amazing character. I mean, yeah, just loved
Yeah,
her as a
the
person.
supporting actors in this film. I mean, every single one of them. Her best friend. I mean, the Taylor's nephew that she falls in love
Oh,
with.
right,
He
he
is such
was
a, like a gorgeous, innocent boy, and
That was
Yeah, he looked like a heartthrob, didn't
oh yeah.
I was.
Yep,
I mean, I
yep.
didn't, not knowing the story, I was very disappointed when she
I know.
made that sacrifice.
Oh,
And it just
God,
kind of
yes.
showed like I'm going to sacrifice what could be love for me for this. This young
Oh, yeah,
girl.
that was a great part.
And
Well,
try to give her a
and
better life.
It was twofold, triplefold. She was like, if you're a chess player, even though it might pain you, it made sense in multiple ways. It was
Right,
like
right.
he would never be able to live the life that he could if he stayed
he was-
connected to her.
because she was a prostitute.
She couldn't
So-
be his wife or
Right.
have his children or
Yep.
anything like that. And then it would help his family. And then it helped
Exactly.
this girl. It also helped her political
and then
points.
it absolutely helped her
It
politically.
was a
right.
no-brainer. So she was like
Yeah.
brilliant that way.
It was. I would
Self-sacrificing
right.
a little
She
bit.
seemed kind of cold. She was
Yeah.
kind of cold in a way.
in that way, right. But then again, it was one of those things where she was just so determined to do the right thing that she just was a badass and able to just make that really tough choice.
Yeah, but that's where, like, the one scene where right after his wedding, right, they show her, like, up in her quarters, like, alone, and she's crying. and she like puts her veil
Right.
over her face.
Yes.
It's like she is
Yeah.
still human.
she's
like
still
she's
human.
still a bleeding heart.
I
It was,
forgot about that.
yeah, it was like she made this cold, calculated decision that you were like, oh, how could you do that? But
yeah, it was ripping her heart out the whole time she
Yes.
was doing it.
You know, I thought it was interesting. Now she's a prostitute and she's having a relationship with this
introduces
guy.
herself that way,
Right.
notably.
Oh yeah, right. I'm a journalist. Oh, I'm a prostitute.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
But in the relationship with that young man, first of all, she had the upper hand. She was kind of in charge of that, which is interesting. But instead of sex, and I'm sure they had sex, but they didn't show it, she wanted him to just stroke his hair because she didn't
right.
have that tenderness
right. I mean,
that you get as a prostitute. It's like, you know,
She just wants to
slam bam, thank you, ma'am.
Transactional.
Right.
What was that, Dave?
she just wanted, she has all that. She wants everything else in a
She
relationship.
wants the tenderness of a
Right.
relationship.
She wants to cuddle.
She wants,
Exactly.
yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting. That was an emphasis in
Absolutely.
the scene in the
Good
car.
good point. Yeah. I mean, and that's the other thing about the movie that was so cool was that, I mean, if this was an American version of this, there would have definitely been some sex scenes.
They would have fucked.
Yeah.
They would have fucked this movie.
They would have
up.
showed.
They would have.
They would have showed some butts at least.
At least, I mean, there was
More breasts.
zero
Lot of
nudity,
boobs.
Yeah,
and
right.
I mean, there was literally
it was
like
so classy for a
Yeah.
film about a brothel.
there was literally like not a single scene
Zero.
with somebody going into bed. I mean, it was maybe people walking into the room together, and then that was it.
right.
They
Which
show
made
the
it-
door
It
closing.
was all insinuated.
Yeah,
But
so-
you didn't need it.
No, you didn't.
No.
It really it
It was
added to
implied, but still landed. It
Mm-hmm.
it definitely, I don't know, got across what, and again, that's part of the gloss. Like, they make it seem like all of these women were just hunky dory happy in their
Yeah.
situation after she
Yeah.
was in power. Obviously, that's not 100% true.
They were smiling
But
a
did
lot.
she improve their situation? Did she, advocate for them? Those things are true, and it transcended that.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. It was like an orchestra. The whole
There
movie
you
was
go.
was an orchestra that did not hit one note out of
Wrong.
tune to me. I
Yeah.
mean, this was a perfect
That's a great
perfect
explanation.
bliss to me.
Yeah.
I just was
It was.
happy right to the end.
Yeah.
Beth was
The-
clapping, and
Yes.
I started
Really?
clapping too.
I feel
yeah.
like musically that's a good comparison to make because it crescendoed and you had arcs and it was a glossed, beautiful
Yeah.
storytelling.
Yep.
I can't think of a lot of places where I would have changed it,
Right.
I mean, that's what
No.
you're saying. I mean, it's like just right on the money. So what would you give it for a grade?
A. This movie is an A. It's in my top 5 of the year.
I would say an A.
I'm not going
as
to give
well.
you
2 thumbs up for
Yeah.
2
me.
thumbs up.
Bill,
I'm gonna
what about you,
agree.
Bill?
I would give it a B plus. I would say it's
Fair.
you're going to watch it in probably 2 nights.
So it's a Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
What kind of?
I'd say it be maybe a Wednesday, Friday.
Ooh,
I knew it. I was literally going to say that. I was like Wednesday, Friday. That's what I was going to say. I seriously
There you
just
go.
thought that.
nice. So that because
Started on a Wednesday, finish
finish it on a
Right.
Finish it on a Friday.
You loved it enough to finish it on a
Right,
Friday
right.
night.
Mhm.
Yep.
But that's that. If I'm telling my friends if you're going to watch it, I'd say do it in 2 parts. That
If the
way.
subject matter is not appealing to you, her
Yeah.
mesmerizing eyes will get you
yeah,
through the entire film.
cinematography
She's
is so
so-
colorful.
Yes.
It's beautiful. The
Oh,
whole
so
thing is
beautiful.
beautiful.
Really cool looking.
What about you?
What about you, Kelly? What do you?
I agree. 2 thumbs up. I'm gonna say it's in my top 5 of the year at this point.
For sure.
I loved it.
Kelly's only seen 4 movies so far.
Right? I mean-
but just kidding.
It's I mean that's not true, but this is I weigh things heavily. I don't give out those A grades.
But you've seen a lot of
easily.
movies
Yes.
besides this, so
And
you
I'm
know what a
critical,
good
but
movie
here's the
is.
other thing. I hate things that didn't live up to par because I have such limited time to watch things
Yeah.
that I have a very high bar that I'm like pissed if it wasn't amazing because
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I could have been watching something else.
Right, because I mean, you're reading subtitles the whole way through. I mean,
Didn't matter.
didn't
to
matter.
me,
It
No.
didn't matter at
for
all. But
sure.
I mean,
I don't even realize I'm
I
Yeah.
no, you
This
don't.
one
I
is
start, speaking Hindi
Yeah.
in my head. It all comes
Right.
through. I don't read. It all blurs together.
Yeah, you really get the acting. I mean, You can feel it.
Yeah, I would not watch this movie dubbed.
Oh no, I feel like that would ruin it.
It would ruin it. I used to think that I'd want a dubbed,
No.
American version, but I don't. I don't. But I want. I mean, let's just tell everybody that they suggest a lot of movies to us. We don't have. What's the Disney? They have a special Disney over there in India, which we don't have.
Oh, when
Really?
subtitles aren't accessible to us, it's pretty tough to watch. The movie.
I mean, there's no way I can watch a movie unless it's
gotta be
total monsters and demons in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
You get the gist, but it's hard
We
to
need
go through a whole
subtitles,
movie.
so-
Yep.
And this one was, and it was
Amazing.
fantastic.
It was fantastic.
All right.
There we go. It's
All
the end of the
right.
show.
Gangubai Kathiawadi on Netflix.
Just came out of nowhere and just went
You
right to the
blew
top
us
of the
away.
list.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Don originally,
I watched it.
and then I jumped
And
on it.
Then I said it was the best movie I've seen
Oh,
all
okay.
year.
Okay.
Award-winning, I think I said, Oscar-worthy performance. I wonder if she'll be nominated for an Oscar for this.
But you know, when
She's
you said
already gotten
Academy
some
Awards.
nods. Yeah,
When you said that, I think I just kind of was like,
he glossed right past
I
it.
didn't, what is Don talking about? I don't
Yeah,
even.
no,
and then
but then-
Kelly texted me.
Thank
I
you.
Went,
Oh, great.
We're
was
watching
like,
it
no, no, no.
immediately.
Well, appreciate it. At least
Yeah. It's like it was a valid recommendation. You have to watch this movie.
Yeah, I don't think I was paying attention. But, yeah,
go.
keep the emails coming.
Recommendations.
Yes.
You know, we
All
love
that,
the comments
emails.
on YouTube. We are still reading them until they get negative. Then we're going to turn those comments off.
They're always
Please
such-
subscribe. I
Please
mean,
subscribe.
subscribe.
Great
We
comments.
get a lot of listeners. It would. I mean, this show will go into the stratosphere if we can get some big numbers. We,
Yeah, we're
the
still
numbers.
working on it.
Let me tell you the number I want. I want 100,000 subscribers by this time next year.
We're going to do it.
100,000.
Guaranteed.
Let's do it.
This show
Bam.
will go 100% reaction, and the catalog of films in India,
Bam.
old and new.
Oh, we've got so much to
Right?
dive into.
Yes.
That's the beauty of this, is that there's this whole world of film that we don't even know exists, that's like waiting for us.
Just like
It's like we're
just
like
virgins diving in.
It's like a toddler. It's like a little kid going, "Have you seen Jurassic Park?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"No."
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
We get to
All
see
their
it.
best films we don't
Love
even
it,
know are
love
there.
it, love it.
All right.
Hey, that's the show, guys.
Until next time, goodbye.
See ya.
10 for over and out.
Later. Everybody smile at the camera.